All right, does everyone see coffee and curriculum? Yay. Crafting thematic units. This was something that I always love to do, is just find a resource somewhere out there or come across one and then turn it into something. So now that I work with Voces, I'm still finding resources out there that I love, and I'm finding it's even easier to create a little bit and then let Voces fill in the blanks for me, fill in the spots, and see how we can, just kind of make that all meld together. So that's kind of what today is about: coffee and curriculum, crafting thematic units with ease. I'm JJ Morgan. I work for Voces Digital. I'm the CI Summit Conference Coordinator. I have a degree in Spanish and second language acquisition. I have those other things. You all probably have all those other things too. What is Voces, who I work for? It's just a collection of digital curricula for Spanish, French, German, Italian, and ESL, EFL. And it's housed on a responsive online platform that's tailored to the needs of world language teachers. Now, I need to find, before I get into this anymore, I've lost the chat. So I'm going to stick this, pull this up over here. Make sure I don't miss anything. Please feel free to pop things in the chat. I will do my best to answer any questions that you have as we go along. So comments, questions, anything that you want to put in there. So today we're going to learn how to plug an authentic resource into AI to create a worksheet. And then we're going to learn how we can search Voces for related content, and then how we can craft a complete lesson or a complete unit from a variety of sources. So every single thing in this slideshow is linked, everything. And we will post a link to the slideshow at the end of the presentation, and then we will also include a link in the follow-up email that gives the link to the recording of the presentation. So where exactly do we begin when you're creating a thematic unit? A good tool to know about is Magic School. Raise the hands. You can show, like, you can raise your hand or thumbs up or whatever if you have used or know of Magic School. I'm a little bit new to it. I use a lot of ChatGPT and some Magic School, and a lot of new Google Gemini for images. So I told Magic School, you can see that there is, if you look down at the screen, there's an image generator right there, and it's Adobe. You do have a very limited number unless you purchase a subscription, but you have a number of images that you can create. And I told it that I wanted a picture of a group of students drinking coffee at school, because I knew I wanted to make a unit about coffee. And I know that my students drink coffee, right? They bring it into class with them. We talk about our favorite drinks at Starbucks or the local place. I had to give it several prompts, go back and forth. You have to work with it a little bit with AI until it gets the image that you want. So I told it I wanted some bright colors. I wanted a lot of diversity. And I wanted students who looked like they were having fun and drinking coffee. So play with your prompts. If you don't get what you like the first time, try another prompt. It continually learns. That's the beauty of AI. The more you try, the better it will become at producing the result that you want. So that was the first thing that I did. And I thought, oh, this would be great. I could use it for a picture talk. Once I know what my vocabulary is going to be, because I don't know until I've acquired all of my resources and put them together. I don't know what my specific structures are going to be. Well, then I can go back, plan out those structures and use them to do a picture talk. What are some, just really quickly, if we were just going to start with this, you can type them into the chat. What are some questions you could ask level 1 about this picture? Ah, ¿dónde están? Who likes to drink coffee? What are they doing? Right? How would we ramp it up to say level 3? Oh, yes. How many people are in the photo? How many people do you see? How do they know each other? Yeah. Why are they sitting together? What are they wearing? Yeah. How would we ramp it up for, say, level 3 or level 4? Ooh, what did they do before the picture? What will they do after? Describe the weather. Ooh, you can see the weather in the background. Are they making plans for what? Where are they going? What are they talking about? How do you like your coffee? What are they planning? Yeah. Would you like to plan something or go to school, have a spot in your school where you could buy coffee and drink coffee? Yes. I would love that. Okay, so after I created that image, I went on the search of infographics. Infographics are easy, authentic resources to use and can be leveled up and they can be leveled down. And I have a question here. Which infographic is best for each proficiency level? And it's purely, there is no right or wrong answer. It's purely a matter of opinion. It's whatever you prefer. So why might the one on the right, Café de Colombia, why might that one be better for, let's say, novice level? What are some opinions? What do we think? Less text. Okay, and then the yellow one has fewer words and better colors. Simple vocabulary, the one on the right, lots of numbers, repeated vocabulary. Yeah, I mean, how awesome would it be to teach 555,692 in class? Short sentences, cognates. Yeah, very short phrases. The numbers are large and the words are fewer. Great. Why might the yellow one be a little bit better for upper levels? More details to dig into, for sure. More detailed information. The phrases are much longer. They could potentially make comparisons. Yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't do comparisons. You can create discussion questions. So yeah, I did choose when I was creating a lesson to go with this, or just a worksheet. I chose the one on the right, the Café de Colombia. I chose that for novice learners, and I chose Datos acerca del café for my intermediate learners. And what I did was pop the link to the infographic into the worksheet creator, which is, you have to scroll down. And so my image doesn't really show it, but you'd pop it into the worksheet creator and you tell it what actual proficiency level you want, and that you want it either in English or in Spanish, depending upon the level of your students. And this is what it gives you. So for novice level, it gave us fill in the blank. Can AI build infographics? I don't know. I know a few AI tools that I use frequently. I don't know of other ones that might do that. I'm sure there is some somewhere. That would be a good question for Chat GPT. I ask Chat GPT questions all the time. What's a good free resource to create blah blah blah, and it'll give me 5 or 6 resources. Licinia is drinking a mix of coffee from Colombia and Ethiopia. Sadly, I don't know where mine is from. And yeah, so cool. So remember, I said everything is linked. Every time that you see the infographic, you can click the link and it'll take you to the site with the infographic. When you see a worksheet, it'll take you to the link to make a copy. So you will have this worksheet that was created. And if you just want to do a quick lesson, boom, there's your lesson. You're done. Use that, use the picture that we created to discuss some of the vocabulary. Like pull out the vocabulary that you want and use the picture and build that vocabulary in with questions. So I did a novice low and a novice high because there's a very big difference between those two. And sometimes our Spanish 2 students aren't quite intermediate. They're really on the verge of that novice high level. So we did a novice low, a novice high, an intermediate low, and an intermediate high. How do I search for infographics? I type into the Google search bar, infografía en español sobre el café. And I just slowly go through the ones that it populates for me, the images that it populates for me. And I always look for one that's embedded in a website and has other information around it. So I feel more confident in the information that's there than just taking a copy of an image. Okay, you can watch this song in the slideshow, but not when it's presenting. So this is just a sabor a café. It's just a lyric. Oh, well, it won't let me do it while we're on a. There'll be a link to it. You can watch it and you can pull it up and play it in your classroom. And it's a very, very, very simple video, and you can pull out at level 1. It starts out with "Me gusta el café." So like there's a phrase immediately that your students are familiar with. I probably can, Darcy, click watch on YouTube, but honestly, you'll be able to click it and watch it. It's not super important to this. And Pinterest has loads of information, graphics, but they're not always that recent. Yeah, that's true. I always forget about Pinterest. I hope you all have your coffee with you today. Kelsey says each Voces title has infographics as well with interpretive activities. Yeah, so anything in the Voces titles that say interpretive before it are authentic resources. And so there's lots and lots of them. Oh yeah, I shouldn't have forgotten tea. You can absolutely be drinking tea as well. So I dumped this video into Chat GPT and I said, please create a novice mid close activity for this song. And it did. First, it gave me novice mid and it had like 20 words. And I was like, yeah, that's not novice mid. That's like the whole song. There's just not very many words in the song. But you can use Chat GPT in that way. And then you just copy and paste into a worksheet and you've got it. And this particular You can link YouTube videos in ChatGPT. You can't, it doesn't, Magic School does not do a good job with videos. It wants you to put in the transcript. If the video has a transcript, Magic School will do a good job. So then I like to use videos, songs, informational videos at all levels, but what you do with it and the type of video matters for each level. So for my intermediate low students, I found Cómo se hace el café.
En el video de hoy les mostraremos el proceso de fabricación del café, desde el proceso de recolección hasta su proceso de empaquetado para su
And I'm wondering, can you hear that? Because I don't think I shared the sound. Yeah? Okay.
distribución. Si te interesa saber más del tema, quédate con nosotros y vamos a ello. El café antes de llegar a nuestra taza pasa por una sucesión de procesos de producción y elaboración que le aporta distintos niveles de calidad, dependiendo de cómo se desarrollen. Este es uno de los productos que no puede faltar en...
Okay, if that is too fast for your students, you probably all know you can change the playback speed with the settings right there. I always show it with Spanish subtitles, even in my lower levels, because sometimes what I want them to do is just pick out individual words. I just want them to be able to hear an individual word. Because what happens in your brain, the way hearing actually occurs is a sound reaches your ear and then your brain immediately starts working and it tries to determine what type of sound is it. Is it animate or inanimate? If it's inanimate, is it hard? Is it metal? Is it soft? Like it goes through a very, very rapid process of determining all of that. And then it tries to determine if it's a language. If it does pick up that it's a language, but it's not a language that you already speak, then no matter what the words are, it just sounds like it's a mile a minute, right? And that is because your ear can't hear the spaces in between the words. It doesn't know what the next word is going to be. In your first language, when that happens, every time you hear a word, not only as soon as the first sound comes out, not only is your brain predicting the end of the word, it's also predicting the next word. And then with a few words, it predicts the sentence, right? It can't do that in a second language because it doesn't know where the spaces are. It doesn't know where one word ends and one begins. So in the lower levels, I really, really, really like for them just to give them random words to listen for and give them a transcript. And I throw in a few words that are not in there for them to have to listen for, and then they circle the words that are there. I don't give them a transcript. I give them a list of the words. Sorry. Jean-Jacques, and I really hope I said your name correctly, says this video is great because the subtitles are already implanted, not Google generated. Can any of our current AI tool add in fairly accurate subtitles? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Most fit Google generated subtitles in the target language are yes, they can be, but you know what? After doing this for a while and after incorporating weekly, not just randomly, but weekly, Anne Marie Chase's, she's here today, her listening quiz, my students will start to tell me that they didn't say that word. The word they put on the screen and the word that they said aren't the same. And so that gives us something to talk about, right? So. Okay, so for that intermediate low activity, I popped it into ChatGPT and it gave me a multiple choice. that students could follow along with. We know what makes it intermediate. Level 4 AP, this video, so the previous video was about 8 minutes long. This video is like 22 minutes long. It's a lot longer. And students have to build up to being able to listen to that much. You have to practice listening, and not just listening to me, because I naturally slow down my language for them to understand, but you have to practice listening to a wide variety of accents and a wide variety of types of audio so that the brain can build up a tolerance for listening. And you have to do it slowly. Like you can't just jump in with a 20-minute video with your level 2s. They'll be like, yeah, as my students were fond of saying, nah, bruh. I'm not doing that. So 22-minute video, and I love this one.
Motor tradicional del campo. La producción mundial de café la lidera Brasil, Vietnam y Colombia. Y Colombia lidera la producción mundial de cafés suaves por su calidad. A todos ustedes, bienvenidos a este nuevo capítulo de Frente al Acontecer del Campo. Y gracias por acompañarnos con su sintonía. Tradicionalmente la cosecha en Colombia es entre la época de octubre y noviembre. Sin embargo, entre agosto y septiembre se empiezan a coger los primeros granos. El café, motor.
So I'm not going to, for my upper levels, I am not going to ask them for specific words. I'm not going to ask them, to translate a sentence. I want them to be able to tell me, what did you actually understand from the target language? So their questions are more like, what is this video about? Give a summary, a quick summary. Why is coffee important in Colombian culture? What factors affect the production of café in Colombia? Okay, and I did ask it when this one I did get a copy of the transcript. I copied and pasted it, and I stuck it in and asked it to give me questions in order so that they could be, to make it easier on their brain, right? So in order of the video so that they could kind of follow along. And I probably would play 5 minutes and then pause and have them answer some questions, and then play another 5 minutes and pause. This would be a full class period for me, this 22-minute video, maybe 2. Like you don't have to rush anything, right? There's no timeline. You can't rush acquisition. Someone's brain is going to acquire at the level that it's going to acquire and the speed that it's going to acquire. No, you can't affect that. Their own internal motivation affects that. Okay, so we have some online resources, 2 infographics, several videos. We've used AI to create an image and some worksheets. Now what do we do? Because that's not a unit, right? And I want a unit about coffee. So I log into Voces and I select my title. Fuentes is my middle school title. Why might I start with my middle school title even if I'm doing upper levels? Any ideas? To build provides background information. To on-ramp, right? So to prime the brain. Who said that doing something super, super hard is the most rigorous thing that you could do in class? Why can't it be doing something in the target language is the rigor? Doing it in the language, and then you ramp it up from there. Like we're already operating in our second language. Start them with something that they absolutely can accomplish. And activities in Puentes, if you're creating your own unit, activities and puentes are great for upper levels. They're great. Exit tickets and bell ringers. Thank you. I was not coming up with bell ringers. Okay, so you pick your title, you go to the search, you go to tools and search, and I got 93 results just in the puentes, just in the middle school that mention cafe. I decided to go with the Cultura Breve, El Parque del Café. It has a before reading activity. It has the reading, which is super simple. Yes, Jean, you can search Voces along thematic lines. All I typed in here was cafe. I don't know if you can see it. Enter your search term. My mouse, there it goes. Cafe. Right? It'll pull up every single instance of cafe in the entire curriculum, not just it'll pull up everything from our stories-based curriculum and everything from our grammar-based curriculum. And you'll see I used some activities from the grammar-based curriculum in here too. So there's a before reading activity where you match each cognate with the English equivalent. Then you have the during reading activity, and it's an interactive park that also has some amusement rides. And then comprehension activity at the end. That's a great primer for upper levels. They could accomplish that in half a class period, max 20 minutes. And yes, the results are labeled. Kelsey brings up a good point. I can show you that here. Well, I'll show you that actually in a second. It might be my next slide. It is my next slide. So you can see showing 5 of 918 results in your other titles. And it shows you Nuestra Historia 1, where they are. So Nuestra Historia is our story-based curriculum, and Voces por el Mundo is our grammar-based curriculum. They are not aligned. Can you filter results based on level? You can, because you can click, I think you can click up here, click a link to switch to that title. So Nuestra Historia 1, it had 151, right? So we click that link and it'll pop up everything for level 1 in that title. So this is an easy video. It's just greetings, Voces por el Mundo 1. And it just happens to mention coffee in it. I don't necessarily believe, especially right here at the beginning, if we're putting together a unit, it doesn't necessarily have to be about that specific thing. If it mentions it, it might fit. So there's, again, before watching it, important vocabulary, there's a transcript. You can play the audio just for your students. Like, you can use it in lots of ways. One that I really, really love, Aventura en Valencia. So this is a long story and it's in level 2. And so it is all about going on an adventure and talking to your parents about being nervous and all the mentions of coffee in it. The follow-up activities are listening. You can print the story if you want, right? Every single page in Voces can be printed. It doesn't have to be an online. If you're like, okay, my students need to not be on their computers today, but I really want X activity, you can print it and give it to them. It won't be auto-graded that way, but you can still do it. Play the audio. Follow-up activities for this are listening, reading, and writing. Right? So there's a lot that follows up everything that is in Voces. In level 3, this is El Café de Doña Miriam, and this is a really sweet story about a boy who decides to help his mom raise money to buy ground so that she can plant coffee and therefore have stability. She didn't have stability before, and he wants her to be able to be financially stable. So they work together and they buy land and they plant coffee and watch just the magic happen. I love that story because the follow up to it is an interpreted reading about mujeres en café. So it's an authentic resource right there, ready for me with follow up activities of its own. One of the follow up activities for this is presentational speaking. And it's about microloans and how they can change lives. Does Voces have summaries of each of the stories? That would be helpful. I don't know. Kelsey, do you know? I don't think we have summaries of each of the stories, but they're not like even the long ones are not so long that you can't skim it.
Yeah, there's not really a summary, but each unit is a theme. Our created units are themed as well. So you sort of can tell what the overarching theme of the story is going to be. Like, for example, in Nuestra Historia 1, Unit 1 is all about my life at school. So most of the stories are going to be around school or school-related activities. So that's one way to sort of tell quickly. And then, yeah, as JJ said, none of them are, more than a few paragraphs. So even the long stories in the upper levels are pretty skimmable, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And also remember, you don't have to go searching for this if you like this because I've linked it. So all you have to do, it'll take you right to it. If you aren't a Voces user, you can sign up for a trial right there on this page, right here where it says free trial. El oro líquido. Now this is in my grammar series. Voces por el mundo, capítulo 3, Colombia. So we have a video about coffee in Colombia, and now we've got a reading about coffee in Colombia. So we're tying things together. I have included my own resources that I've created for La Bicicleta that are in level 1 and level 2. Is it about coffee? Nope. Is it about Colombia? Yep. Are there times when you need a break between lessons or you need a break between something that you just did that was really difficult before you launch into something new? Yeah. Are there days that you just need to do music? There are if you're in my classroom. There are days that you just need to do music. And so I have created some activities to go along and super simple. And the link takes you to a copy link. So you'll have a copy and you can edit it as you choose because it'll be your copy. And so I have one for level 1 and one for level 2. And those are, I like to use music as a break, as a transition. I always plan a day of music in between my units. Sometimes I also start my unit with music. Sometimes I finish my unit with music. It is just a really, really good way to connect with students. And there is a lot of music included in Voces as well. If you go to the extra sections of the Nuestra Historia, there are a lot of videos. The videos aren't embedded necessarily, but activities that you can do, links that you can pull up to look for are in there. And, and it's such a great song. It just,
Buscando en las heridas del pasado. No voy a perder.
So a lot of times I opt for the lyric video. Actually, most of the time I opt for the lyric video, just because I want them to focus on the language, not necessarily some of the images. If you teach in a school where Shakira shaking her booty could be a problem, you might need to use this lyric video. Now, there are also times when I do focus on the actual images in a video because the images will sometimes tell a story that's different from what the words or tell a more elaborate story. And yes, March Music Madness is a great music resource. And to look back at previous years, it's cool. It is, there is one in Spanish too. I always recommend that you preview videos before you show them. Just because another teacher recommends it to you doesn't mean it's good for your context. I learned my lesson by showing a television series, and I knew I needed to skip a scene, but I looked down for what I thought was just a nanosecond. And when I looked back up, we were in the middle of the scene that needed to be skipped. And, the girl couldn't put her shirt back on for me. So it was was a really, really tough lesson. So always, always preview and make sure that it's going to fit your context. I've taught in schools where I could not show a video that had any alcohol in it or any kind of a bar scene. That leaves a lot of music videos out, right? So you just have to know your context. I also went back to Magic School and created a map of South America.
Hey, JJ, really
yeah.
quick. Someone just asked if we could share one more time how to get to that particular song.
Oh, yeah. The bicicleta. It's linked in the slideshow. So you'll receive a link to make a copy of this slideshow for sure. And then the link, you just click on the links that are here. So the video is linked as well as these level 1 and level 2. Those are both links, and you will get the activities for the song. Oh, yeah. Oh, in the site, that is my own particular. I wrote those activities that I'm sharing with you. That's not in Voces. That's just something a little extra. And Voces does have a sharing library where you can view content other teachers have created as well as share your own. Absolutely. It is immense. So we have lots and lots of maps in Voces. You don't have to create one. I just wanted to see what it would pull up in Magic School. And so it did create this for me. For map activities, I wanted us to come up with some things. What could we do in level 1? If you put them in the chat and I'll put them in the slideshow so that we all have them. You can identify the countries. Absolutely. In level 1. Oh, you could practice pronouncing the names. Oops. Locate the places where Spanish is spoken. I like that. Talk about exports. Excuse my poor typing skills. Predictions about weather. Have the map also list other indigenous languages. Yeah, you can put links in the map. Now, I did try to get Magic School AI to show me something similar to that, and it did not do a good job. So that's something that I would have to go in and do. What about level 3? What's something we could do with level 3 for a map activity, or level 4? Identify cultural products. History. I think one of the favorite things that students tell me after they've been in my class is, I learned so much history in your class, because I would stop class and walk to the back of the room and point out something on the map and say, do you know that in 1972, blah, 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 blah happened. And then this was going on in this part of the world, and this was going on in this part of the world, and it all mixed together. And so yeah, history, very much so. Most visited sites. Traditions. Yeah. So much. So many things you could do with a map. What about grammar? Even a CI teacher puts a little bit of grammar, maybe in pop-up form, where we just talk about it for 10 seconds. But there are, like, that very first song that I showed you that we couldn't see because it didn't allow the playback. It opened up with Me Gusta, Café. So you could just do a quick lesson on gustar y encantar. And this is from Voces por el Mundo 1. Another idea we could do, make a list of readily available films that refer to cultural events that take place in those countries. Ooh, I love that. Yeah. So back to my picture, what vocabulary do this is when I start thinking, like, I've pulled resources together. What vocabulary do I need to pre-teach now? What do I know that they don't know? That's what I'm going to pre-teach. The most important things. How am I going to teach it? Is picture talk enough? How else can I teach necessary vocabulary? TPR, movie talk. I mean, the ways of teaching vocabulary are endless. How am I going to assess my students? Now, we have a unit about Colombia in Voces por el Mundo 3 that, I mean, all of our units have assessments. And this assessment might work for you. You would have to check it out. If not, what is something that you could do in level 1? Write a story using the unit vocabulary and provide an image. These are all images that I just went into Gemini and I was like, I want a dog drinking coffee in the mountains. So it came with that. I want an alien buying coffee at the market. I want coffee running down the street. And that's what it came up with, a much better image than what I had in my head of coffee running down the street. So, describe an image, pop it in, give it to your students, write a story about it. In level 2, I would also write a story. Write a story in the past tense using vocab from the unit and provide an image. In level 3, I would have them describe their favorite part of the unit and why is it their favorite part. In level 4, I would ask them, what's your opinion on microloans? Are they good for the economy? Why or why not? Right? Asserting an opinion and defending it. Because the one story that we did had the microloans in it. Any other ideas? Because I've got bullets here we can add to the bullets. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And also, does every single assessment that you do have to take an entire class period? Anne Marie is shaking her head no. I agree. Does every single test that you do have to assess reading, writing, listening, and speaking? No. Do I have my students chat and lead picture talks? Only in upper levels. Only. And I might have them do it with partners. Ask each other questions. Well, no. So if I'm going to do it as partners, if they, as long as they have the vocabulary to describe what I want them to use. Does that make sense? As long as I've pre-taught the vocabulary, yes. Then I can have them ask each other questions back and forth. Okay, these were some more images. I was just really having fun with Gemini, and I was like, I'm gonna make these images and maybe somebody can use them. So we've got a pig processing coffee. We've got a coffee shop. We've got a plant and a fireplace and a cup. We have a coffee bean singing, which kind of looks like the raisins from that old commercial. Oh, do they create the picture talk, select the photo, and play with Gemini? I haven't had my students do that, but that doesn't mean you can't have your students do that. I mean, that could be a lot of fun. Their imaginations are way, way better than mine. Way better than mine. And this is a black cat drinking espresso, which I thought was adorable. Okay, so, Licinia says she does short quizzes and then moves on. Sometimes just a conversation to see where they are with vocabulary. She only has 45 minutes twice a week, so it's quick. I love that. I love that. Yep. A few things that are going on at Voces. Before we end, March 10th through 13th, we have our Spring Into Reading. You can scan the QR code. We're also going to pop a link in there for you to register in, if you want, in the chat. This summer, we have CI Summit going on in Oklahoma. It's a 3-day conference. And Anne-Marie is going to be one of our spotlight presenters. She is presenting her spotlight on assessment because she is the queen of assessment, and making it easy, not making it something that you dread doing. So we would love to see you at the CI Summit this summer. And thank you. So Kelsey is slowly putting links into the chat. We'll have a link for a survey and a one-on-one tour. I would love to set up a time with any of you and show you my favorite parts about Voces. You saw a little bit today of some of my favorite stuff. The link to the survey is also in the presentation. So if you can, please, please, please give us some feedback, and thanks for coming.